At his wife's funeral, Jason's smile wasn't one of sorrow or reminiscence, but of unsettling calmness. This peculiar behavior didn't go unnoticed, especially by the priest who had seen many faces of grief, but nothing quite like this. The congregation whispered, their discomfort growing, as Jason's smile seemed more enigmatic with every passing moment. Driven by a growing suspicion, the priest made a discreet call to 911, prompting an investigation that would unearth a chilling truth behind the wife's untimely demise. The priest had not told anybody about his contact with 911. He had finished up the funeral service as best he could, trying to let anybody see his great worry about Jason's strange behavior. Right after the crows had dispersed and were on their way home or to a collective dinner, Priest Malachi made the distress call. He knew that something could be very wrong here. The 911 operator who responded to his call was a bit doubtful if this situation really warranted such an extreme response, but she could not deny that this behavior was really strange and probably worth investigating. And she got Malachi in contact with the local police station, who shared a similar opinion as Malachi, and they got even more interested in this case when they did a little research. Jason's wife, Nicole, was fairly young when she died, and this was, of course, always a tragedy. But, of course, things like this could happen. But what was so strange was that the police officer taking this could not find a clear answer as to how Nicole had met her untimely end. And having no clear cause of death was very rare, especially when somebody that young died. The officer could not find any history of medical problems, no record of an accident involving her, and no records of her being in the hospital recently. Nothing. All they could find was a statement from Jason that his wife had passed away when she was out of state for work. He claimed to have no idea what had happened either, but the police found this very suspicious. He could not understand why you would not want to everything about your wife's passing, especially because it happened out of seemingly nowhere. Unless he knew a lot more about this than he was leading on, and to police officer Remy, this started to feel like a very realistic situation. He was convinced enough by the evidence he had found to start a full investigation. As of now, they did not want to have Jason know that they were looking into him and the mysterious death of his wife. It was much better for them if he believed that he had gotten away with whatever he had done. They did not want him looking over his shoulder or trying hard to erase all possible evidence. That is why the officer was extremely grateful that Priest Malachi just continued the funeral service. Malachi also provided the officer with a list of everybody that had attended the funeral. But he did also tell the officer that none of these people had anywhere close to a similar reaction to Jason. All looked to be mourning the loss of a young lady who had gone too soon. Like he would expect from people coming to a funeral like this. Officer Remy wanted to talk to the direct family of Nicole, her parents and sibling, about her untimely passing. But he knew that if he contacted them, there was a chance that Jason would find out that the police were looking into it. So Remy decided that it was best to start looking somewhere else. He put his full focus on the business trip on which Nicole supposedly died. Officer Remy discovered what company Nicole had been working for. It was a company that sold cosmetics. Now, Remy could envision that high-ranking sales employees of that company would possibly have to make some business trips to promote the new products. But from what he could find out, Nicole did not seem to be in a position like that. She was seemingly one of the people in charge of leading the warehouse. And because the company had a position open for a new warehouse manager, Remy decided to annually call the company pretending that he was from a recruitment agency, and subtly asked the question if warehouse employees would ever have the possibility of going on a business trip of some sort. No flight bookings, hotel reservations, or conference registrations in her name surfaced. This absence of evidence contradicted Jason's narrative. deepening the mystery around Nicole's disappearance. Remy's intuition told him there was more to this story than a simple oversight. Digging deeper, Remy scrutinized flight manifests and company records, only to find glaring inconsistencies. Nicole's name was conspicuously absent where it should have been. This discovery cast a significant shadow of doubt over the validity of the business trip, prompting Remy to question what really happened during the time Nicole was supposedly away. With suspicions mounting, Remy decided to reach out to Nicole's family. He framed his inquiries as routine follow-up, stressing the need for discretion. The family's responses, cautious yet revealing, hinted at an underlying mistrust of Jason. Their insights added crucial layers to Remy's investigation, guiding his next steps. Nicole's family shared their observations, painting a picture of recent estrangement. Their subtle hints of discomfort around Jason and surprise at the mention of a business trip Nicole never discussed with them added depth to the enigma. Their unease provided Remy with a new angle to explore in the complex puzzle of Nicole's disappearance. Each piece of information Remy gathered seemed to contradict Jason's account of events. The absence of Nicole's travel records, combined with her family's skepticism, fueled Remy's suspicion. This discrepancy between Jason's story and the emerging facts suggested a much deeper, more convoluted narrative than initially apparent. The more Remy heard from Nicole's family, the more puzzled he became. Their confusion about the supposed business trip Nicole never mentioned added complexity to the case. This silence from Nicole, especially in the days leading up to her disappearance, raised questions. Why hadn't she mentioned such an important trip to anyone close to her? Nicole's recent lack of communication became a focal point of Remy's inquiry. Her family's accounts of unreturned calls and messages painted a picture of someone increasingly isolated. This behavior was out of character for Nicole, known for her closeness with family. Such drastic changes in behavior often signal underlying issues, prompting Remy to look beyond the surface. The disparities between Jason's account of Nicole's activities and her family's knowledge grew more stark. Jason insisted Nicole was on a business trip, yet her family and friends were unaware of any such plans. These contradictions deepened the mystery, suggesting that Jason might be withholding information, or, worse, fabricating stories to cover up something more sinister. After concluding the interviews with Nicole's family, Remy felt a mix of determination and frustration. The discrepancies in stories, Nicole's silence, and the lack of concrete evidence created a tangled web. It was clear that unraveling this case would require digging deeper into Nicole's life and what had been happening behind closed doors. Given the mounting inconsistencies and suspicions, Remy made the critical decision to place Jason under discreet surveillance. This step marked a new phase in the investigation, shifting from gathering testimonies to actively observing Jason's actions. The hope was that Jason might unwittingly reveal more about Nicole's disappearance or confirm suspicions about his involvement. Remy's team equipped a discreet surveillance setup, focusing on Jason's home and usual haunts. Initial observations revealed Jason continuing his daily routines without apparent deviation. Yet, the meticulousness of these routines, performed with a predictability that seemed almost rehearsed, caught the team's attention. It was as if Jason was aware he might be watched, playing the part of a grieving husband to perfection. The operation was grounded in strict protocols to respect privacy laws while gathering necessary evidence. Remy considered the ethical implications deeply, knowing the fine line between surveillance for justice and invasion of privacy. The team's movements were calculated and deliberate, ensuring that their presence remained undetected by Jason or any casual observer, preserving the integrity of their investigation. As days passed, subtle signs suggested Jason might sense the eyes upon him. His occasional, seemingly random glances towards empty spaces or sudden pauses in routine activities hinted at his awareness. These moments, fleeting and easy to dismiss as paranoia, nonetheless suggested to Remy that Jason was more observant and perhaps more cunning than initially believed. Remy found himself frequently mulling over the case's complexities, especially as surveillance yielded more questions than answers. The evidence was growing, yet the picture remained incomplete. It felt like trying to solve a puzzle without knowing what the final image should look like. Each piece of information, while valuable, seemed to complicate the narrative rather than clarify it. Gradually, small changes in Jason's behavior began to surface. A missed routine here, a hurried phone call there. Each occurrence might have been innocuous on its own, but together they painted a picture of someone under strain. These signs of unrest suggested that Jason was indeed hiding something, adding urgency to Remy's efforts to uncover the truth. Remy's background check on Jason painted a picture of an ordinary man, yet beneath the surface, secrets lurked. His public persona, that of a grieving husband, clashed with hidden aspects of his past. Small discrepancies in his stories, vague answers to direct questions, and carefully curated appearances hinted at a deeper, more complex character than the one Jason presented to the world. Conversations with Jason's ex-partners revealed unsettling patterns. Each relationship, it seemed, was shadowed by Jason's controlling behavior. These women described a man who was charming at first, but gradually became more demanding and manipulative, dictating how they should act, dress, and interact with others. These accounts provided Remy with crucial insights into Jason's character. The significance of Jason's past relationships became increasingly clear. They were not just isolated incidents, but a window into his true nature. Understanding these dynamics was key to unraveling Jason's current facade. Remy saw these patterns of control as potential motives, perhaps even contributing factors to Nicole's disappearance. This perspective shaped the direction of the investigation. Anecdotes from Jason's exes painted a vivid picture of manipulation and control. One described how Jason would subtly undermine her confidence, while another recounted times when Jason's charm turned into coercion. These stories, though varied, all pointed to a man skilled in manipulation, raising red flags about his potential involvement in Nicole's disappearance. Armed with new information, Remy began to piece together a more complete picture of Jason. The controlling behavior reported by his ex-partners, combined with the surveillance findings and family testimonies, sharpened the focus of the investigation. Remy was now convinced that understanding Jason's relationships was key to uncovering the truth behind Nicole's disappearance. Jason's sudden rush to escape was triggered by a brief glimpse of a surveillance team. His once calm demeanor shattered into panic, leading him to make a hasty decision to flee. This unexpected move put Remy and his team on high alert, initiating a rapid response to prevent Jason's disappearance and potentially losing a key suspect in Nicole's case. The pursuit of Jason led Remy and his team through rugged terrain under the cover of darkness. The dense forest became a maze of shadows and sounds, each step intensifying the stakes of the chase. Remy knew that losing Jason now could derail the investigation, turning the search into a desperate race against time and nature. Jason's capture, deep within the forest, was both a physical and psychological showdown. Surrounded, with no further options for escape, he surrendered to the officers. The tension of the chase dissolved into the stark reality of his situation, leaving Jason and the team breathless. This moment marked a significant victory for Remy, yet the silence that followed weighed heavily on all involved. Once in custody, Jason's demeanor shifted to one of stoic silence. His refusal to answer questions or engage with the evidence presented against him created a barrier that Remy found difficult to penetrate. This silence posed new challenges, as it prevented the team from gaining insights into Nicole's disappearance, deepening the mystery rather than clarifying it. Jason's request for a phone call, granted under strict supervision, added an unexpected twist. The conversation, though monitored, was cryptic, with Jason speaking in half-truths and veiled references. This call hinted at deeper layers of the case, suggesting that Jason might not be acting alone, or that the truth behind Nicole's disappearance was more complex than imagined. In the interrogation room, Remy faced a formidable barrier: Jason's unwavering silence. Despite various approaches, Jason offered nothing that could lead them closer to understanding Nicole's disappearance. This deadlock was more than frustrating. It was a stark reminder of the challenges that lay in penetrating the veneer of a suspect determined to reveal nothing. Remy's team began to entertain the notion that Jason might not be acting alone. The cryptic phone call and Jason's calculated silence suggested the involvement of others, possibly aiding in concealing the truth. This theory broadened the scope of the investigation, prompting a meticulous re-examination of evidence for signs of unknown accomplices. Confronted with a complex web of half-truths and silence, the team strategized new methods to unearth the truth. Remy considered unconventional tactics, leveraging technology and psychology to gain new insights. The goal was clear: to navigate the maze of deception and discover the reality of Nicole's fate, hidden within the shadows of Jason's defiance. Piece by piece, Remy and his team assembled the scattered evidence. Each fragment, from surveillance footage to financial records, added depth to their understanding. This painstaking process was a test of patience and acuity, as the team sought to connect these disparate pieces into a coherent narrative that could explain the events leading to Nicole's disappearance. Amidst the investigation's tensions, brief moments revealed Jason's emotional turmoil. These flashes of vulnerability, quickly masked, suggested a conflict raging beneath his stoic exterior. Remy sensed these moments were key, potentially the doorway to understanding Jason's true involvement and the depth of his connection to Nicole's mysterious absence. Under the relentless weight of emotional pressure, Jason's resolve began to falter. In a moment of vulnerability, he offered the first real glimpse into his emotions since his arrest. This breakthrough, though slight, signaled a potential turning point in the investigation, providing Remy with a sliver of hope that the truth might finally begin to emerge from the shadows of silence. As Jason's facade started to crack, inconsistencies in his narrative became more pronounced. His guarded comments, once seamless and rehearsed, now betrayed a series of contradictions. These discrepancies, subtle yet telling, offered Remy and his team critical insights, hinting at a deeper, more complex story behind Nicole's disappearance than Jason had previously let on. The investigation's toll on everyone involved became increasingly evident. For Remy's team, the relentless pursuit of truth, amidst a web of lies, weighed heavily. For Jason, the burden of maintaining his narrative under mounting evidence seemed to grow unbearable. This collective strain underscored the emotional and psychological complexities at play, deepening the human aspect of the case. Leveraging the cracks in Jason's story, Remy intensified his efforts to uncover the hidden truths. Each contradiction became a thread to pull, unraveling the tightly woven tapestry of Jason's narrative. This strategic approach aimed not only to challenge Jason's account directly, but also to expose the underlying realities of Nicole's disappearance, piece by piece. The deeper Remy delved into the case, the more intricate the web of deception became. With each layer of lies peeled back, the complexity of Nicole's disappearance grew. This network of falsehoods, crafted with care and maintained with determination, posed a significant challenge to the investigation, demanding a level of scrutiny and persistence that tested the limits of Remy's resolve. As the legal system began its preparations for trial, skepticism about Jason's narrative grew. The evidence compiled by Remy's team painted a complex picture, one that questioned the veracity of Jason's account of events leading to Nicole's disappearance. This phase marked a critical juncture, transitioning from investigation to the judicial process, with all eyes on the unfolding narrative. The dawn of the trial brought with it moral and ethical dilemmas for Remy and his team. They wrestled with the implications of their findings, questioning not just the facts of the case, but the broader consequences of their actions. The responsibility weighed heavily, as the pursuit of justice for Nicole balanced against the rights and future of the accused, Jason. Tension escalated dramatically as new evidence emerged, threatening to alter the course of the investigation entirely. This evidence, discovered in the 11th hour, promised to shed new light on Nicole's disappearance, potentially exonerating Jason or implicating him further. The team worked feverishly, understanding that this could be the key to unlocking the truth. Standing on the brink of a major breakthrough, Remy and his team felt the weight of anticipation. The accumulation of months of investigation, the weaving together of countless threads of evidence, had led to this moment. They were close to understanding the full story of what happened to Nicole, poised to reveal the answers that had eluded them for so long. An unexpected discovery shattered the existing narrative, setting the stage for a dramatic shift in the investigation. This breakthrough, a piece of evidence overlooked in the earlier stages, suddenly became the linchpin of the case. It promised not just to answer the lingering questions about Nicole's disappearance, but to redefine the entire investigation, pointing Remy and his team toward an unforeseen conclusion. On the eve of the trial, the tension reached an all-time high. The investigative team, the legal professionals, and all involved braced themselves as the final pieces of the puzzle were poised to fall into place. Remy felt the weight of the moment, knowing that the next steps could either cement his theory or unravel it entirely. In a series of rapid developments, Remy and his team made discoveries that began to unravel the mystery of Nicole's disappearance. Each piece of evidence, meticulously analyzed and placed within the broader context of the case, pointed towards conclusions that were as unexpected as they were inevitable, promising to shed light on the truth that had eluded them for so long. The narrative built to a crescendo, with every character bracing for the impending revelations. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation and anxiety, as the culmination of months of investigation was on the horizon. Remy, his team, and all those touched by the case stood on the precipice of understanding, awaiting the storm of truth that was about to break. The revelation that Jason and Nicole had orchestrated her fake death sent shockwaves through the courtroom. Jason's enigmatic smile at the funeral now made sense. He believed their plan had succeeded. This stunning admission redefined the entire case, turning the investigation on its head and leaving everyone grappling with the implications of such an elaborate deception. The aftermath of the revelation was palpable. The police felt a mix of betrayal and astonishment, having poured months into solving a mystery that never was. Nicole's family, initially victims of their own grief, now wrestled with a complex blend of relief and anger. The community's reaction ranged from disbelief to outrage, struggling to comprehend the motives behind such a drastic act. In a detailed confession, Nicole and Jason explained their actions, casting new light on the investigation. They described the pressure and desperation that led to faking Nicole's death, portraying it as a last-ditch effort to escape a situation they felt powerless against. Their story, filled with admissions of guilt and regret, offered a rare glimpse into the depth of their despair. The resolution of legal matters saw a divergence in paths for Jason and Nicole. After intense deliberation, the authorities decided on the charges, balancing the need for justice with the unique circumstances of the case. The future for Jason and Nicole, now publicly known for their elaborate ruse, was uncertain, leaving them to navigate the consequences of their actions in a world that had watched their story unfold. As the dust settled, those involved reflected on the tumultuous events, contemplating the lessons learned. Jason and Nicole, now at a crossroads, faced the daunting task of forging new paths. Their journey, marked by deception and discovery, prompted a deep introspection about identity, purpose, and the possibility of redemption in the wake of their elaborate ruse. The case underscored the importance of honesty and laid bare the consequences of deception. For Nicole and Jason, their actions had set in motion a series of events that highlighted the intricate dance between truth and fabrication. The community, reflecting on the ordeal, grappled with the understanding that truth, often complex and multifaceted, is the foundation upon which trust and relationships are built. In the aftermath, the community and Nicole's family began the slow process of healing. Forgiveness and understanding became central themes, as both sought to reconcile the pain of betrayal with the relief of Nicole's safety. This period of reflection brought to light the capacity for forgiveness and the strength of the human spirit to overcome even the deepest of wounds. Continues facing the future, Nicole and Jason embarked on a path towards redemption and change. Recognizing the impact of their actions, they committed to living with authenticity and integrity. This journey, fraught with challenges, was also filled with hope, a testament to the idea that individuals have the power to redefine their stories, even in the face of profound mistakes. The narrative of Nicole and Jason, now a part of the community's collective memory, served as a powerful reminder of the transformative nature of stories. Their ordeal, while unique, echoed universal themes of love, loss, and redemption, revealing deeper truths about the human experience.